Hello everyone, it's Jonny Khatru, and today I'm going to be listening to the new EP from Burial called Chemz and Dolphinz. I've been following Burial since his, 2007 release, Untrue, but I really became a fan of his when he released the Kindred EP a few years later. That one really impressed me, and after that he started releasing more EPs almost every year for a while. And I would buy them every time they came out on release. They were always really high quality stuff, just 2 or 3 really great tracks on one release. Although at some point he started making more ambient tracks, which didn't always go over so well with the fans. Although I did like his earlier ambient stuff, and I probably have enjoyed most of his ambient works, although with a couple of misfires here and there, I think. Some were stronger than others. In the last couple of years, his releases have slowed down quite a bit, but last year he released a new single called Chemz with a full EP with a second track called Dolphinz coming shortly after. Unfortunately, that got delayed at least a couple of times, but finally the day has come and we've got the second track released and we can listen to the full EP. So I'm looking forward to hearing not only Dolphinz, but the whole EP. I haven't heard Chemz for a few months now, and it'll be interesting to see how it works all together as a full 20-minute EP. Okay, so let's start things off with Chemz. So that's Chemz. And I think the thing that really stands out to me about that track is that for a lot, I mean, it's a very long song, almost 12 minutes, which is something he's been doing on his EPs for quite a while now, but there's something very dancey about this song. Like, Burial is famous for making music that sounds like it's playing inside of the club and you're outside the club, standing in the rain, hearing the noise from outside. But this sounds very much inside the club. It's not the first time he's made something danceable though, not by any means. In fact, it still has that feeling of melancholy. It still feels very nocturnal. The unfortunate thing is that it just doesn't seem to work throughout, and I'm not sure it justifies its length, especially when some of the changes that happen after the halfway point seem to go into weaker sections. That being said, it's still got, as I said, the nocturnal Burial sound that's very easy to enjoy, sounds great. So now I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes into the next track called Dolphinz. Okay, that was Dolphinz. I'm not sure if Burial's trying to put across some kind of environmental message or if he just likes dolphins, or if he just liked the sound of that sample. In any case, right out the gate, it was much darker than Chemz at the beginning. You know, we definitely went outside the club again. I did enjoy the structure of the song for the most part, the way that it went back and forth between pure sound design to more musical passages was enjoyable. I've always liked the sound design in Burial's more ambient tracks, the sounds of the vinyl crackles, the lighters, the rain, all those sounds. I always think that sounds great. It works really well. And put into this kind of structure where it's always moving, I did think it worked well for it. Although maybe it was slightly overlong in the same way as Chemz. It ended up outstaying its welcome slightly, especially since there was a passage towards the end where it had these pitch shifting synthesizers that didn't really work for me. Although by the end it had a more quite short but emotional section, which I thought worked pretty well. Not a bad ambient track from Burial, all things considered. So overall, after first listen, I did enjoy the EP. Although, like I said during my initial thoughts, I did feel that both tracks were maybe slightly overlong. And maybe this would have worked better as a briefer single release. But I do think that the tracks complement each other well. They both bring something very different. And it's just great to hear Burial again doing what he does best. Now let's see what everyone else is saying about this new Burial EP. So here we are on Burial's Rate Your Music page. As I mentioned earlier, he's released so many EPs over the last decade, and they started off getting really good reception. And then lately, some of his more recent EPs are getting a slightly less positive reception, including from me, although I did really enjoy the Young Death Night Market EP. Night Market was one of his earlier ambient tracks, and I remember enjoying that one quite a bit. And I suppose Dolphinz is, continuing in that tradition at this point. I haven't listened to the Split EP that he did recently. I'm not sure if I will, to be honest. But here we are on the Chemz Dolphinz page. As you can see, it's doing quite well. It's got a 3.38 from 450 ratings, which is definitely an improvement over his recent releases. But if we take a look at the track ratings, you can see that people are enjoying the more dancey Chemz a lot more than the ambient Dolphinz, which is not such a surprise. I know people generally are not as into his ambient works, as I've mentioned. So Lucidity2 says his weakest ambient track yet. And that does surprise me. I definitely remember hearing some weaker ones from him, ones with less interesting structure, that's for sure. This guy, Make Me a Pizza, said, "Wow, the outro is gorgeous." And yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. Although it was quite a small section of the track, to be fair. There's a repeated comment saying, "I can't believe I eagerly waited 5 months to the day for a 9-minute ambient track." Yeah, I figured a lot of people would be feeling that way. But as I said, I do enjoy Burial's ambient tracks, and I suppose I did anticipate this one might be one, after the structure of some of his previous EPs being a more rhythmic track and another one a more ambient track. And I wasn't disappointed, really, in this case. I thought it was one of his better ambient tracks. Yeah, just a lot of arguing about whether or not it's worth waiting months for an ambient track to come out here. Between people who say, this dude really delayed this for 3 months just for the other track to be ambient, and on the other hand, people saying, what's wrong with ambient, idiots? And of course, there's nothing wrong with ambient in theory. It just comes down to whether you enjoy Burial's brand of ambient, whether you enjoyed this particular track. And as I said, in my opinion, this was a good one from him. Although, of course, I will be giving a few more listens before I rate it. So let me know what you thought of this new Burial EP. Do you feel it was worth waiting all these months for the second track, Dolphinz, to come out? Or are you disappointed it turned out to be another Burial ambient track? Comment down below to let me know. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I should be doing a follow-up to this video at some point to tell you my final rating. And of course, lots more other videos to come. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take it easy.